Tell me how you manage your time.
I have two small kids under four, which makes study time really hard because they only want mommy. I would get up early in the morning. I would study a little bit in the morning, maybe like for an hour. That's usually when I would watch the on-demand video. Then in the afternoon, after I got off work, I would put in like another 2 hours.
Okay.
And then after dinner and bedtime and bath time and all of that, after the kids were in bed, I would put in another 2 or 3 hours. So
Wow.
it took me longer, I think, than if I didn't have all the other responsibilities.
Right.
But for me, the main thing was doing problems, like understanding the concepts, which you really go over well in your videos. The PE is much harder,
You're right.
much harder,
Right.
and I didn't expect how much harder it was when I went into it the first time. Um, but it really is hard.
Yeah. Hi, Laura.
Good morning. Hi.
How's it going?
Good. Thank you.
So, Laura, congratulations on passing your PE Power exam recently. And
Thank
you've been a long time student of mine. You took FE with me as well,
I
right?
did. Yes.
So, how about you give us a quick rundown of what your PE licensing journey has been like when you graduated and when you started your FE prep?
Okay. Yeah. So I graduated in 2014, and at my school, you did not have to take the FE to graduate. So I put it off for a couple years, and I did my MBA, and then I decided that I wanted to start my journey to do the PE. So I took the FE, and I did not prepare for it very well at all, and I failed. And then I found your course, and I signed up for that. So I think I did your course, and I also did your workbooks, your study guides.
Hmm.
And my first time after doing your course, I passed the FE, and that was in 2020. So then I decided that I wanted to go on and do the controls PE exam because I thought that that one was supposed to be easier and it was a little bit more of what we studied in school.
Okay.
So I attempted that one and I failed. And I realized that, yes, that's what we did in school, but those were not my favorite subjects in school. So I decided to do the PE Power since I work in the utility industry and it
Hmm.
more closely aligns with what I do at work. So I signed up for your PE Power. Um, was that in 2021, I think it was?
I believe so. I think that that's when you first enrolled, and it was only the on-demand program at that point in time.
Just the on-demand program, and I also got the study guides.
Yeah.
Um, so I took that and I think I took the exam in 2021 and I failed the first time. Um, my diagnostic report put me pretty close, so I think I just needed to do some additional work. But then I ended up taking a break for starting a family and children and all of that. And I decided to do it again. This time I did your on-demand course and I signed up for your live course.
Live training as
And
well.
the
Mhm.
live training is so incredibly helpful. And I think the combination of the live training, going back and watching the on-demand courses, and then I got your second version of your study guide, and just doing all of those problems and all the homework that you give out in the live.
This one. That's the
Yep.
one. Yeah. Hmm.
So I took it again and I passed.
Right. So a lot of effort goes into preparing for this exam, of course. And in the case of FE as well, you had failed the exam once, and at that time you had not really used uh, uh, you had not really prepared well for the exam initially, right?
Yeah, I
And
didn't
might
really
not have.
prepare.
And the second time around, you utilized the resources and prepared for the exam. With PE, you had an sort of a non, a typical type of a journey because you did controls just to figure out how controls was. In the when you get to the PE Power, You did my on-demand course. At that time, I think it was just around that time when they were transitioning from the open book to closed book, because if I remember, you were using the first edition of my study guide, but then they transitioned the exam into a closed book format, and then you started using this book, right, which was released in January 2021, I believe, and then combined it with live training. So obviously, it's been a long journey, but credit goes to you for not giving up, right? And while managing full-time job responsibilities and kids, there's a lot on your plate. So tell me how you manage your time, or how you kept yourself motivated, and never went off track or completely
Yeah.
pulled the plug.
So I do. I have two small kids under 4, which makes study time really hard because they only want mommy. I would get up early in the morning. I would study a little bit in the morning, maybe like for an hour. Um, that's usually when I would watch the on-demand videos. And then in the afternoon, after I got off work, I would put in like another 2 hours.
Okay.
And then after dinner and bedtime and bath time and all of that, after the kids were in bed, I would put in another 2 or 3 hours. So
Wow.
it took me longer, I think, than if I didn't have all the other responsibilities.
Right.
But just like for me, the main thing was doing the problems, like understanding the concepts, which you really go over well in your videos, but then just doing as many problems as I could find on those topics until I was sure that I understood it.
Right. But but the P-Power exam is not necessarily all problem based. It really requires you to have deep conceptual understanding as well, right, Laura?
It does. They ask several conceptual questions.
And to really, that's a different in mindset that I tell my students to have when they graduate from the FE program and onto the PE Power program. Some of the students, it takes them a little bit of while to recognize that, granted, the P exam is testing you on a smaller knowledge area, right? Or specialized. I shouldn't say smaller, but more condensed and specialized. But that doesn't mean that it's an easy exam by any means. How would you rate the level of difficulty for PE and FE?
The PE is much harder.
Right.
Uh,
Hands down, it's much harder, right?
much harder,
Yeah.
and I didn't expect how much harder it was when I went into it the first time. But it really is hard.
Yeah. And the FE exam is hard in its own sense because there's so much to cover. And around the timeline when you took your FE exam, you had been out of school for what, like 4 or 5 years, 6 years, right?
Yeah.
Roughly.
Yes.
So learning linear system, signal processing, and software and computer networks, it's not fun. But when it comes to PE, you work in the utility, so you see single line diagrams. People are talking about transmission lines, grounding, this and that. So that's your bread and butter. But
Yeah.
then, yeah,
Yeah. I heard, oh, the PE power is so much harder than the PE like controls and electronics. And it is. Um, but when you work in the industry, it makes it a lot more helpful, I think,
for sure.
especially the conceptual stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and conceptual stuff, there's a limit to how much it can be taught, right? Because there's so many things through cross-pollination process of, osmosis or whatever you want to call, over a period of time you pick up. And that's why within my program, I focus really hard on the fundamentals, on the concepts, a lot of derivations, as getting. I remember you sent me an email, and I think it's been a year almost, or if not more. You sent me an email about symmetrical components, right? You said that you had gone through it in school and never understood what symmetrical components are. So it's a very abstract concept, right?
It's very abstract, and I've read several different people try and explain it, like at work and at school and reading books. And in your one, I don't know, what was it, 45-minute lesson, you made it make sense more than anyone else combined. So
Thanks. But that's the focus, right? Some students are not easy taking that approach that, hey, why is he wasting time on explaining me something that is not yielding a numerical problem, at least right away, right? Because we are so used to doing practice problems. And there are plenty of practice problems in the program, right? There's no shortage of practice problems in the program. But then when you are going through the P Power program, if you focus on learning and are open to, diving in the deep end where convoluted things are present, I think you will significantly increase your odds of success on the exam. But because, as you said, this exam is not easy.
It's not. And one thing, like doing problems is great, but you really do have to have the conceptual background just because even the way they word problems, it's not straightforward. So
Yeah.
you have to really understand what they're asking for.
Yeah, exactly. And that can be seen in the sample exam. There are a handful of practice problems in the P Power sample exam where you really don't know, at least reading it the first time, what exactly they were asking, right? So that's all part of the trick, and that's how they test things out. So once again, many congratulations to you, Laura. It's a great achievement, and it is the sense of the achievement is, I think, many folds, given the fact that you pulled it off while managing so many other things, right? And that was one of the main reasons I wanted to have this interview with you, because I have so many students who are like, Wasim, I'm managing a family, I'm keeping a full-time job and this and that. So these types of success stories, they reaffirm that if you put in the time and effort and stay true to the cause and to your goal, you'll get things done. Any
Yeah.
last minute advice, Laura?
I would just say, like I couldn't have done it without you. So thank you so much for
Most welcome.
answering all my questions and for just everything that you've done to help me out. And, you guys can do it. Just put in the time and the effort and it will pay off.
If you like this video, then please don't forget to subscribe this channel. Feel free to ask me any questions in the comment section of this video below. You can find tons of stories of my FE Electrical and P Power students over here. And if you want to learn more about preparation of these exams, then click here to learn more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon in the next video.